What is going on, y'all? Good morning. I'm not sure why the intro video didn't play because that's what should be going right now. Um, so anyway, I'm going to do one of those swoopy little things that people do sometimes where they get started, and then when they get started,
maps on the table, circles over every border. You laughed and asked me, how far can two hearts take? Plain lights blinking over oceans, old fears packed and out of sight. Your name on a boarding ticket felt like it finally fit just right. Travel and marriage, two stamps on the same old heart. Travel and marriage, one suitcase but two new starts. From the aisle to the window, from the promise to the far blue sky. Travel and marriage, side by side until we fly.
once again, good morning. Leave it to me to screw things up. I'm good about that. I used to be. It's frustrating because I used to run OBS and do all these swoopy things in our lives, and now I'm like, I don't know if it's because uh, I'm getting older and I'm a grandpa and all this kind of stuff, but like, I just I am really, really batting about 250 right now when it goes to live streams and hitting all the bases. So, World Baseball Classic coming up this Friday, so might as well throw in some baseball analogies. And we hope that the United States kicks butt again. Last time World Baseball Classic was on, it was some amazing baseball, and it was what if you're a real baseball fan, like what you would expect baseball to be. So I didn't injure myself. I am injured, I guess, but this is on purpose. All of this going on here. And if you've been coming into the lives, you know what's going on here. If not, shame on you. You should start checking in with us more often. But long story longer, shoulder surgery last Wednesday. Been slowly coming off the pain meds, so I have less pain meds in me today than I have. Um, they were really zoning me out, so Chas and I decided that we were going to start stretching that out a little further and trying to take them at a longer interval and then try to back off of them altogether. Um, been sleeping fairly well, starting to come around. Really don't have any use of the arm just yet. Doing a lot of pendulum swing exercises and all this kind of stuff to try and keep it from getting stiff. Chas has been the most amazing nurse you could ever ask for. Doesn't help that she's easy on the eyes, or doesn't hurt that she's easy on the eyes. I really lucked up in that area as far as my home health aide is concerned. But anyway, I was going in for 4 different procedures. Luckily, only needed 3 of the 4 procedures. So they did a clavicle dissection and removal. So they removed, I think, he said, like a half-inch section of my clavicle to remove some pressure from scar tissue and stuff and swelling that's going on in here from impingement issues. Also, they thought they were going to have to do a rotator cuff, but when he got in there, he didn't need to do the rotator cuff. The labrum repair, it was torn off. He said it's supposed. If Chas was in here, she could tell me exactly. I'm probably screwing this up. It's supposed to be set at like an 11, and it was torn all the way to the 2 o'clock. I may be messing that up, but they repaired that, and then they did a bicep dissection. So yeah, a lot going on there, and it's weird because my original injury was probably in 2003. Yeah, 2003 when I was in Iraq, and just kind of worked through it because over there you're one soldier deep in the unit that I was in. So for me to get hurt and get taken out of the rotation was a big issue. So you just suck it up and you drive on. And then of course it heals over and you go. And at the time I was 22 or something. So you just drive on. And I would continue to get little micro injuries here and there after that healed over itself, which I guess began to develop scar tissue. But the last couple of years, like when we would go to the gym, even when I was doing bicep curls and stuff like that, I would get this terrible pain right here in the front. And of course, coaching baseball for years and years and throwing 200 or 300 pitches during batting practice and stuff like that didn't help either, and get some pain down in my elbow. So anyway, it was time. I had a little bit of a issue where I got injured doing jujitsu, and it really never came back and healed up, and it would even hurt when I would run and stuff. So I was like, yeah, it's time to get it done. So not true to VA fashion. So people at the Veterans Affairs, they want to do the best job they can do. Let me say that up front. And they've made a lot of good changes, but they're not always the most efficient. They'd love to be, but they're not always the most efficient. In this case, went in to see an orthopedic surgeon, and he's like, well, if you want surgery, I can get you in. I was like, yeah, I think I need it. And I'm thinking, based on the VA, when he's talking like he can get me in quick, I'm like, yeah, it'll probably be 2 months, 3 months. No, it was like a month. And I was like, yeah, let's go. So excited to see the end of this and the results, but right now it sucks. So enough of that. Get into the chat here, and I'll do my best. It's my right arm, so I'm having to reach across, grab the mouse, and go over here with my left arm. So first in the chat this morning is Mr. John Gaylor. Welcome in. Good to see you. We've got Party on the Seas, Florida in the house. Welcome in, guys. Anfield Road. Welcome in, guys. Good to see you. Good to have you. Thank you for being here. Our Virginia homies, friends, brothers and sisters from other mothers. CME traveling in the house. All right. This is difficult with one arm, trust me. Cruise Life in the house. Good to see you, Pete and Lisa. I also saw Cruising is Fun Anytime in the chat. For some reason, you guys are not showing up in our chat. I got to take a look at that. But welcome in, guys. Cruising is Fun Anytime in the house. Thank you, Jeremy and Cheryl, for being in here. Good morning. We've got Controversial Cruising, Mr. Scott in the house. Good to hear you. Good to see you. My understanding, I believe you're going live at 0830 this morning, right after Kurt and Marcia. So make sure you go over there and check them out. Jimmy, the astute tourist in the house. So he goes live just before us. Now he goes live a lot of mornings. I think I'm usually catching it after I wake up. I think you go live, Jimmy, at 6:30. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he has a good morning show over there. Has one of our oldest friends on YouTube, Mr. Kenny Fordman. Controversial Cruising is usually on there, and Mr. Eddie Lugo. I think I hit everyone that comes on there with him sometimes. Our other Virginia friends here, the Ahab Show. He's out there chasing that white whale, and good to see you. Good to see you, John and Krista. Some more of our amazing members. Thought I saw one more. Here we go. Linda Monte, Mayor 6265. Welcome in. Thank you for being in here, Linda. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. And I believe it's the first time that I've seen you in here. So hopefully we won't let you down. Conscious Cruiser at 0830. I don't know why I'm struggling with that. That's a tongue tire for me today. So it's like I'm talking with marbles in my mouth every time I try to say it. But anyway, Scott has good show. Everybody in this community has good shows. You know, when we first started, we talked about our little cruise community, and we have developed a community of folks that have been doing this since either the middle of COVID toward the end. We started kind of coming in toward the end because we were new to cruising, and it just we're like, this is awesome. And we got pushed by some other folks in the cruise community that we should start a channel, and we did. So here we are. And anyway, there was a pretty tight knit group of folks that supported each other, and we're still going. And here we are. And everybody has their own little personalized spin on their live streams, and it's really cool because although a few try to do like cruise news and that kind of thing, and that's good. There's not a thing wrong with that. It's awesome, but it's really cool that even those folks that stick to that format because it's a successful format. And I'll use Chet and Robin for instance because they do a lot of that structured cruise news and cruise information type of content, but it's different from Tony. It's different from some of these other channels because they personalize it and they have their own little thing and they don't try to have this like corporate mentality to what they do with their channel. And I think that's awesome. So that's what you get from this community of creators and travelers. So anyway, I went on one of my rambles, but I apologize. We've got the Tyler Show in the house. There we go. Got him up there. This guy right here, if you haven't checked out his channel, he has a really unique channel. So back when Nadia and I were doing the peer-to-peer podcast, we had Tyler on. So Tyler, now it's been so long, he may actually be a pilot boat captain now, but he had ambitions of being a pilot boat captain as a teenager, and he would go out and do some ship spotting and stuff like that. Really, really cool take on cruising from the Tyler Show. He's got an interesting channel. You should go check it out. All right. I'm going to go close out our poll. Let's see what we got here. So do you take cruise excursions? We got 13 votes. I appreciate that, guys. And it looks like sometimes wins out with 54%, never at 31%, and always at 15%. So that's surprising to me. I figured that always would win the day. I knew sometimes would be close to the top. I said it's surprising. I don't know if it's surprising because it does depend. So, and I'll tell you where it's good that this came up and that the vote went this way because it feeds into how I was going to approach this anyway. So growing up, when we traveled, we really didn't. So sorry, Tyler Show. He's in the thick of maritime school right now. He's got 2 years done. That is awesome, Tyler. And congratulations for pursuing your dream and taking an unconventional route and finding what you love. That is awesome. And if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what Tyler's getting after there. So that's awesome. All right. So when I was younger, and even when Chas and I were vacationing when we first started, we never really got off the beaten path, right? So, you would go on a vacation, you'd go on a trip, and you would go to that place and you would do the thing. We did a lot of Disney. So, Disney is a vacation and excursion in and of itself when you go there. But also, there are other things you can do. you can go and you can do special tours and the like. So when we went down, so when my mother passed away, she left a decent little amount of life insurance for us, and we caught up some of our bills. But then we also said, Mama, knowing who she is, she would not want us to not use this on the grandbabies. So we went down. I think we spent 2 weeks, if I remember right, in Disney. Might have been 10 days. And on Dylan, our oldest son's 13th birthday, we did a little excursion with him in the park where we were able to scuba dive inside of the aquarium that's there inside of it. And that was probably the first time that we went out and did one of these add-on type deals. And that's really what I'm talking about when we say excursions. So you don't have to be cruising necessarily to do an excursion. That's the point of that. But it opened up a new world of travel, right? And just it's like a it's like a multiplier to your experience. Um, so when we started cruising, it was kind of, yeah, Jimmy, the living seas, if it's still called that, where Nemo and everything's at. So yeah, that was it was really awesome. It was a really really cool excursion. Um, but when Chas and I started cruising, there's always the conversation. What do we want to add on? What excursions do we want to do? And we is the cruise enough? I think it is. You're going to these ports, and it can be enough. There's nothing wrong with that. It can be enough. Cruising is amazing. You get to go to all these different ports, and you can do your own excursion and just jump off and not pay a dime and go visit uh, the country that you're in or the port that you're in. Nothing wrong with that. But on our first excursion, it was suggested that we go to Mr. Sancho's. So that was all we did. It was a 4-day cruise. We went to Mr. Sancho's, and I'm glad we did that because we could have easily been like, well, cruising's awesome. We're just going to explore the port area and get back on the ship. But because we did Mr. Sancho's, it really motivated us to find excursions when we're on cruises. And even if you're in the group that never does excursions, you need to do one of these all-inclusives like Sancho's or Paradise Beach. And tonight at 8:30, that's what we're going to talk about. Or tonight at 6:30, that's what we're going to be talking about is what we believe is the best all-inclusive in Cozumel. But moving from that, we've done a number of these just crazy good excursions, and what I really wanted to talk about is excursion selection. Um, so, for me, and Chast books a lot of the excursions, but we both, study them and look into them and figure out what we're gonna do. And to me, it's an opportunity to unlock new experiences, new learning about the world, um, and you can just see things through a different lens. So those are the kind of excursions I try to find. I try to find things that are gonna draw me and Chastity closer to each other. So, we go somewhere that's all inclusive where we don't have to worry about a thing and we're catered to, uh, from that to just going and doing something like the Mayan experience that we did in Costa Maya, where we were able to experience a Mayan village, and it took us back into a time that doesn't even exist anymore, where they're speaking the Mayan language and they're teaching us how to make tamales and tacos and all these crazy things. And then we sat down and we ate just an amazing meal, and we got to see the countryside, then go to the Seven Seas Lagoon, and um, we just the shared experience, the food, and all the things we got to experience. Not only was it just amazing to see, it also through that experience that we shared together, our first time, firsthand experience, it just drew us closer. So as a husband, and if you have kids as a father, whatever the case may be, trying to find those things that amplify the trip, that make it memorable, that make it um, an event to get you closer to each other. That's really what you want to be hitting for. Now, sometimes, in professional wrestling, they call this cheap heat. Sometimes you just want the cheap heat. Hey, I'm going to go to Senior Frogs. We're going to do some shots. We're going to laugh at some people being silly. Going to eat some conch fritter. There ain't a thing wrong with that, man. We've done it and it's fun. But I would encourage each and every one of you at least once per cruise, once per travel trip that you go on, to go and find something that gets you a little bit out of your comfort zone. I'm not saying be unsafe, but something that gets a little out of your comfort zone, and go check something out. So we went to St. Lucia. We've got we have a short on this St. Lucia excursion. It was both the best and worst excursion we'd ever been on at the same time. So it was a complete disaster. Truck broke down. Parts of it seemed almost dangerous because they swapped drivers and we started going to all these crazy places in the countryside. And the people we were with, though, we'll never forget them. And we're still talking with some of them that we met on this cruise. But, the brakes didn't seem to be working on the truck. The guy that was guiding the tour, he really didn't know what he was talking about much. So we hijacked the speaker. We started playing our own music and we just started partying on this bus. And I don't know that we learned a thing about St. Lucia. Maybe we learned a little bit, but it was amazing. It was so much fun. Hashtag wet water ones. But, and those are the kind of things you can run into on an excursion and they're unforgettable. It was really, really cool. The cruise line, the astute tourist. So it depends on which one you're asking, Jimmy. For the Mayan experience, we actually booked that through Viator. So that's the next thing I was going to come up. So you can book through your cruise line. You can also book through TripAdvisor, Viator. You can book through, you can actually book through Shipmate, believe it or not. So you can find excursions there, and we've booked all of those ways. But the Mayan Experience excursion, we actually booked that through Viator. I think it was about $15 cheaper to go that way. And it was easy to find. And it was actually an excursion that was booked through the cruise line, and there were a lot of cruise line folks there. So the benefit of that was all the safeguards that are put in place since you're there with all those cruise line folks. As long as you stick close to them, you're going to get back in time. And always have your travel insurance and your passport nearby. But the Mayan Experience, that was cool. The St. Lucia one, that one was one we got off the ship and we didn't have anything booked. We saw this dude over there and he's like, hey, come on my excursion. It's going to be fun. And there were a bunch of people loading up onto the truck. So we're like, shoot, yeah, let's go do it. It looks like a good thing. And it turned out to be wild. We enjoyed it, though. It was fun. All right. Linda Monte Mayer, thank you so much. She has become a member, and we appreciate that so much. And since you have decided to become a member, our doggies would like to say, thank you. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you for being a member. And hopefully you will enjoy all the benefits that come with that. We have 3 different levels to our membership, and thank you for joining. We really, really appreciate that. We don't peddle our memberships, but we do cater to them and make sure that we try to give you the best bang for your buck. And we give out discounts to some of our brand partners. We also do some special stuff like members only shorts and call outs and all those kind of things. I apologize that I hadn't been like popping things up out of the chat just because I'm one arm bandit here. So if I'm missing things, I apologize. Tonight will be a little better because Chastity will be able to get behind the controls. I wanted to try to do this one on my own this morning and see how I could knock it out. But Linda says, love the dogs. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. Jimmy says his fear is going outside the excursion. Thank you for the super. So since Jimmy hit us with the super chat, what will happen now, because we had a goal of getting one super chat, which is normally what we do because this is just a 30-minute show. So since we got one super, what we're going to do is we're going to go back old school and we are going to release a daily dad joke. So I used to do daily dad jokes every day. It really didn't matter. It wasn't cruise oriented or anything like that. So we are going to go back and we are going to do a daily dad joke. So thank you so much, Jimmy, for providing us with the opportunity to get in the Wayback Machine and go do a daily dad joke from your super chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And don't let me forget, super chats come with a and if you see me right there in the middle dancing in that thank you video, Jimmy, you were there. That was our New Orleans trip for the original booth cruise. So, a lot of fun there. First time got to meet Jimmy and his beautiful wife face to face, and that was awesome. I did see another. I apologize because it's hard for me to go through this chat. I saw another. Yeah, experience over material. That's what Scott said from the Controversial Cruiser. Definitely. And I learned this from the craziest of places, right? So I don't want to say crazy, but during my deployments, being in other countries and experiencing other people from those countries, even Iraq. So we're essentially enemies in Iraq to the Iraqi people. It's kind of how we were painted. Once we got there and we started operating within the country, and they realized we were not their enemy, getting to meet and associate with those people from that country, seeing how they live, and realizing that even though we have many differences, at the end of the day, we're still just people. That's amazing. And, I would love that if this is kind of a very far out there idea, but, it would be awesome if 2 years of mandatory service was something that we had in this country. And for me, not everybody has to join the military. Maybe you go into something like Peace Corps, whatever the case may be. Just get out and see things outside of our great country, because it would give, number one, a greater appreciation for our amazing nation. We are the greatest nation on the face of the planet. And when you get out and you see other countries and how they live, you realize that really quick. There's other amazing countries that live free, just like us, that are westernized, but nothing is greater than the good old US of A, in my opinion. And then also just opening up the aperture for learning about people. We grew up in the mountains of North Georgia, and we didn't meet a lot of people that didn't look like us, other than the Hispanic population. And so with that comes a lot of preconceived notions of how people live in this country. And during my military service, my first bunkmate was a guy from Flatbush, New York, who was a Rastafarian. And here I am, this country boy from Northwest Georgia. That was interesting. But learning how he lived, who he was, and those are the kind of things you can learn on a cruise. Those are the kind of things you can learn through overseas travel. And I would encourage that for anyone. And excursions, that's another way to get you out into that community a little deeper, a little further, and learn some new things about the world. And so I would always encourage excursions. I understand why some people don't, and we don't always, we've been on cruises where we never got off the ship. I get it. But generally, we do try to do an excursion every time we go on. All right, guys, if I missed you in the chat, every week this will get a little better as I get more and more used to this arm. But thank you guys for being in here. Please go over and check out CME Traveling for their daily coffee talk, which they're next. And then right after, Kurt and Marcia, go over and check out Scott from Controversial Cruising for the Conscientious Cruiser. And we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you come and see us tonight at 6:30 for Shooting the Breeze. It will definitely be easier to look at because Chasidy will be on. And we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about our favorite all-inclusives in Cozumel. But thank you guys for coming in. I hope everyone has an amazing and blessed day. And I am out.
Travel and marriage, two stamps on the same old heart. Travel and marriage, one suitcase but two